Welcome back to News Talk. We turn our attention now to one road, 2 speed limits, and a speed camera. That's the recipe for what many consider an obvious speed trap. This is a story you will see only tonight on ABC 7 News at 11. More than 10 years ago, it's worth noting, D.C. installed its first speed cameras, and ever since, they have been frustrating motorists. But one camera in particular has recently attracted a lot of negative attention. It's a road that has drastically different speed limits on either side. One way, it's 45, but the other side is 35. And guess which side the speed camera is located on? Many motorists say this is all about the revenue. The district says it's all about the safety of pedestrians along this stretch of road.
It's fine, except you're not crossing half a road. You're crossing the entire road. So if speed is an issue on that road, then the speed limit should be the same through the entire intersection, not just half of the intersection.
And with us now here on News Talk, Chris Pabst, ABC 7's government watchdog investigator, and John Townsend of AAA of the Mid-Atlantic. Gentlemen, welcome. Good to see both of you. Thanks very much for your time. I want to talk about the issue in the broadest sense. Where cameras go, where speed cameras go, and the sense that while generally there's a safety benefit, and in many cases you can defend in the placement of a given camera here or there, it's not always the case that cameras are primarily about safety, or at least, Chris, that's the suspicion.
Well, that's the question, where does a speed camera go? Depends on where you live. In Virginia, there aren't speed cameras. In Maryland, they're restricted mostly to around school districts where the kids are. Montgomery County has some other grandfathered-in cameras, but that's mostly the law in Maryland. But in D.C., they can be put anywhere. And the Metropolitan Police Department, they operate, maintain, and they place the cameras. They do not need a study to put a camera somewhere. They don't need any type of evidence to put a camera somewhere that there's an issue at that location. They can move the camera, they can put it where they want, and quite frankly, that type of ability to do that is what drives a lot of the questions that people have about, is this really all about money? Because you would think that if it is a safety issue, you must present evidence that the camera would therefore make people safer. But the Metropolitan Police Department does not have to do that. They can just put a camera somewhere.
John, you study transportation issues all around the region. You're in the district, Maryland and Virginia. Where does this issue rank? This issue of our speed cameras primarily, and we're talking now about the decision to locate individual cameras here or there, to keep them or to move them, etc. Where does this issue rank in terms of folks' suspicion that some of them at least are about generating tons of revenue and not about creating a safer roadside environment?
We just polled on this issue, Bruce, for Vision Zero, because they're talking about 20 additional fines and raising fines to, in some cases, 300%, doubling fines. Many of them will be enforced by speed cameras, and half of the district residents that we surveyed suspected that this is not about safety, it's about revenue. And the other thing is that about 60% of all district residents surveyed, where you would think support for the cameras are the strongest, those people are diametrically opposed to any increase in fines. And Chris was talking a moment ago about how the other jurisdictions differ. They do their safety studies first. The district doesn't. And so all you have to do to get a speed camera in a location is to call the ANC or your council member, and the district treats speed cameras like speed bumps. They just roll them out because people complain and they want a camera, and then once the camera's installed, you can not remove it. Because it generates so much money.
What are the hallmarks of a gotcha, of the classic sort of the camera that feels more like it's a gotcha than one where a legitimate case can be made about promoting safety?
Well, when you have an artificially low speed limit and the speed camera is placed where there's no traffic by pedestrians or cyclists, just motorists, and it's there just to generate revenue. A classic example of that is the K Street Tunnel, which generates a great deal of revenue, millions of dollars in revenue every year, as Chris can attest. For example, back in 2013, it was ticketing 300 motorists a day. I just got a call last week from a motorist who was ticketed at that location, and she said, what is a compelling safety need? Who are we trying to protect? The speed limit is 25. There's no pedestrian traffic. There's no cyclist traffic, only motorists. And then when you pull the safety nexus study, most of the crashes are side impact crashes because people are stopping. Once the light goes off, or the speed camera light goes off, they stop because they realize they've gotten a ticket, and sometimes they get rear-ended.
And this is the nexus of the road you found that you profile in Spotlight tonight at 11 on ABC7. Not just the issue of speed, but somewhat remarkably, perhaps, a different speed limit, let's call it eastbound versus westbound, or north versus south, whatever the configuration of the road is. That will surprise many of the people watching your report tonight.
Yeah, we're going to reveal what that intersection is and what that road is tonight on ABC 7 News at 11. But the idea here is that I was just driving it one day, and I thought to myself, this does not seem to make sense. Why is this a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit?
It just felt engineered for more.
It didn't feel right. When you're driving on a road, and I've driven, for many years now, you kind of get a feel of what a speed limit should be without even really looking at a speed limit sign, because you understand, is there a building around, are there a lot of pedestrians, what is lining the road, are there turning lanes? You get a feel for what is comfortable and what is safe to drive on. But this particular road is about 20 miles an hour, less than that. And the kicker is the other side of the road is 10 miles an hour faster. So you got 45 on one side, you have 35 on the other side, and as you said in the intro, where do you think that speed camera is? And as we started looking into this, this is a very profitable speed camera for the district. It has generated $6 million in the past 4 years. In 2014, it was the second most profitable speed camera in the entire district. And the other thing is, as John mentioned, these speed cameras move a lot. The district moves them around. This one has not moved. It has been in one location and has stayed there, so we started looking into it, and we have a pretty interesting story tonight.
The numbers are pretty revealing, and I think a lot of people will find it unusual that you don't have a uniform speed both ways on a given road. Maybe there are special circumstances. Obviously, in some places, the northbound lanes, for example, could be taking you into a small town. Southbound lanes could be funneling you onto an interstate. So not to say it can never happen, but this one might raise issues for some, John.
Right, because where the camera is situated is where you're entering the city, the other is exiting the city. But you see these anomalies all across the district. And think about this, Bruce. Since the inception of the speed camera program, the district has generated $500 million in revenue and issued almost 400,000 tickets.
$500 million with a B.
$500 million with a B. And that number will increase. The worst speed camera in terms of being a speed trapper, Chris can attest to this. It's on we'll identify it now. It's on 295 on the exit going toward the Wilson Bridge. And back in 2012, that speed camera generated 92,000 speed cameras in a year. Now it's down to about 75,000.
Talking with Chris Pabst and John Townsend. A break here. A reminder, tonight at 11, the $6 million speed trap, a story you'll see only on our sister station, ABC 7. Back with more News Talk in a moment.